to Bill Flynn in the morning.
Love Your Lawn Hour, and we have with us from GrowinGreen, Tommy Cowett. Tommy
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Tommy. An agronomist with a degree from North Carolina State University, a master's degree in such goings-on. And I actually had a discussion just the other day with my brother. And I said, and he was helping me around the house. And he was cutting the grass for me because he was there for a few days. So we had, I was doing the weed eating, and the blowing, and he was doing the.
You were the grunt?
Yes.
And
he's the older brother. So
okay.
you got, you never
You've always been the grunt.
You never escape that. And I said, now, because when he gets on a device, he loves to move everything around.
Okay.
He can't leave he has to tinker with everything. I said, you know what you want, but two things. You need to have full RPM when you're running the blade. Otherwise, it's going to do less.
That's my girlfriend you're playing there.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And
Hey, brother, take it easy on her.
And the other thing is, and I said, leave the cutting height at 4 inches.
Okay.
And he, of course, being the older brother, he said, well, what, the grass tell you want to be 4 inches? I said, as a matter of fact, it did. And I referenced you and said, because you told me about those sequence of experiments with different lengths of grass.
Sure.
2 inch, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4 inches, and how they performed over time. And sure enough, the 4 inch.
That's right. Dr. Fred Yelverton at NC State, one of his master's students did a 3-year study on the mowing heights of different species of grass, and they found the weed control was tremendous in the difference of the cut. 4 inches versus somebody scalping their tall fescue lawn down at 1 inch. We're talking the difference between 90% crabgrass and almost nothing.
Really?
Yes.
That's a
just
huge
from
differential.
Mowing. That's
okay.
right.
And a great thing to remember as we're headed into what is a stressful time. And you wanted to talk about the Chambers Bay Syndrome lawn.
There are a lot of Chambers Bay lawns out
there
right now. Now, 2 weeks ago, there was the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay up in Washington State. And gosh, did you hear about the temperatures in Washington yesterday? Washington State, 105.
Holy moly.
And we thought we had it bad. And I always think of Washington State as this cool Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, and that kind of that Jurassic Park kind of hyperbaric atmosphere.
Beautiful
and you never
trees and moss and everything, I bet this stuff is all baking right now. 105, sure. My God. But the lawns here went through that 12-day run of 90s, and these fescue lawns shut down. Now, I can tell you they're going to come back. They're going to come back really nice. Just let them go if you didn't keep hydrated during that period. Because we've got some lawns out there that stay irrigated, and they're perfect. And they're absolutely perfect.
Now,
never went off at all.
Since you and I last talked, nature has backed down the heat some and also given us some rain.
Yes, it has.
Right around these parts.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. Things are already starting to wake up a little bit.
And so if the lawn is starting to wake up with that, good thing or just temporary? What do we say?
Let her come on out. Let her do what she's going to do. Now, if you have a good, healthy, developed root system, you're going to stay good. You're not going to go off. It's not going to die or anything, but I do advise syringing the lawn we talked about last week, where you just take a hose and cool it down when you get home in the evening.
Now, talk to me a little bit about that, because let's say if you are watering and or have irrigation for your lawn, I've always understood the best time to do that is early in the morning rather than in the evening, because you end up with mold issues potentially if you do it at night and then it sits for a while. But you're saying the water to cool off the grass, to cool off the roots,
sure,
is an important thing to do, maybe like 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Absolutely. 4 o'clock in the afternoon is probably the hottest part of the day. And you're going to dry off. If you get it done about that time or even as late as 6, 7 o'clock, it will dry off. As long as the sun is still up, okay. It only takes about 30 minutes to dry off a lawn. But, you don't want to be watering in the middle of the night. The worst thing is a lot of times are these evening thunderstorms that come in, and then the lawn stays wet prolonged all night. and that could lead to fungus if you're not on a fungicide program and, you're not protected.
It's a broad question, but if you are watering your lawn and or with irrigation, is it a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing? Is it every 3 days? Is there an optimum? If you're just trying to save and give the best chance for that fescue, maybe you have a healthy root system. Maybe you got some 4-inch fescue. What is it most crying out for? Is it every day?
Really what it is 1.5 inches of water per week during limited rainfall. And that can be achieved with 3 times a week for, say, a half hour each zone. And that's just 3 times a week usually. And you can measure that with a pan. You can do it with a rain gauge. You can do it with a cup, if you can measure the depth.
Okay. So 3 times a week is what we're looking at. And the duration of that watering, let's say you're pulling the sprinkler out and you're turning the hose on and you're looking at your stopwatch. What is going to be a good
really
time?
Deeper, longer watering, to get a little deeper rather than short and more frequent intervals is best. That way you really get water to saturate that soil depth, but to a pretty good depth. Because, you can water for 15 minutes and go out there and dig a little bit of soil or dig up the turf and see that you haven't wet a thing.
Yes, right.
You've just really done a little surface water.
All you've done is wet the crust that's been baked, right?
And now these irrigation regimes take time. This is not something that's just going to be achieved by running it one time. This has to be done like on a systematic basis where you're doing it every week for a period of 2-3 weeks. Then you'll get your soil saturated to a perfect saturation. Don't expect to just have it all wet with one irrigation cycle. It's not going to happen.
I'm wondering, almost like any living thing, are you starting to train the roots of the grass to expect that watering at some point? And then if you don't do it, does it even cause a greater problem if you miss that routine?
It sure does.
Really?
You let it dry out, and it's kind of like caught with its pants down.
Yes, because it wasn't expecting this. You've told it everything's going to be okay.
Oh, yeah, baby. Just ride along here in the air conditioning. We'll just, enjoy ourselves.
It's fascinating that it does respond that way. As a living organism, though, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. You can kind of play with these things and get the roots to go deep. If you do water less frequent and deeper each time, you'll get the roots down deeper. It'll chase that water.
Good advice. Yes.
So, that's, and the same thing with weaning it off of the water sometimes.
If you want to be gentle, you don't want to do on-off and make it a hard edge. You want to kind of...
Don't just shut it off.
Kind of wedge your way into more water, wedge your way out of less water.
Yeah, it's important to have it on a timer and do it consistently.
Okay.
And then you'll have this perfect lawn.
Well,
that's how these guys are achieving perfect lawn in 98 degrees, We're
going to come back with more in just a minute.
Call now. The number is 896-1980, AM 980 The Eagle.
Good morning. It is 9:20, 20 minutes after 9 o'clock. Love Your Lawn Hour with Growing Green. By the way, I always like to mention the website, GrowinGreen.com, GrowinGreen.com. There's a terrific thing on there called Ask the Expert. Maybe you're having an issue on your lawn. You do not have to be a subscriber of services from Growing Green to get a question answered. And you may well find on that website somebody has already encountered and successfully dealt with one of the lawn problems you're having.
Sure. Ask the Expert is pretty busy right now.
So that's good information. Also, you've got 1-866 Lawn Help, the phone number there. I was just thinking, too, I was coming down the new part of Business 40, where the Macy Grove Road exit is, and you guys have got you already had good access.
Oh,
but now
we love it.
You can get everywhere pretty doggone quickly if you need to, right?
Our office is right there on Old Greensboro Road across from FedEx Hub, and they just built us a brand new off-ramp and on-ramp.
That is beautiful.
Right next to our shop.
So, your trucks can get out and back, I guess, a little more efficiently because of that.
Oh, it's a incredibly efficient now. I mean, normally we'd have to go up Sandy Ridge, get on, 421 and head up to Old Greensboro Road. But now it's wonderful.
Dang.
And that helps us better service our customers.
Oh, that's an important thing. Hey, not many people come in the workplace and say, I'm so excited about sprigs. But Tommy Cowett is one of the people that says, I'm all excited. We got sprigs. They're coming in today. Tell me what sprigs are, why they're important for you, and specifically about this time of year, what you're doing.
Well, we're planting sprigs, which are Bermuda grass sprigs. They're a vegetative way to propagate or establish Bermuda grass. It's just pieces of the root and the stolons of the Bermuda. A lot of people pulling Bermuda grass out of their beds know what I'm talking about, those vines. And those are just pieces of them. And we're doing 3 high school stadiums in the next 2 days. And it all has to be done quickly because the sprigs will be harvested today, late today. They'll be loaded in boxes and delivered to our shop about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Where are they being harvested? Do you know even?
Yeah, down in, it's a place, Camden, South Carolina, about 20 miles east of Columbia, I believe.
Is Camden one of the premier sprig producers in the East Coast?
It's Modern Turf. It's a very good company that's down there that's growing various varieties of Bermuda, and we're able to, you can purchase sod from them or sprigs, and it's a sod farm.
Now, Bermuda is one of those things that some people absolutely just need it, want to have it. Other people see it as almost worse than a weed because of its incredible capacity to grow and to cover rapidly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I really went back to school in turf to do this master's degree after an experience with Bermuda grass. Because
Bermuda grass is responsible in part for your education.
Big time. I mean, I had finished an undergraduate degree, and I took a job as a landscape foreman at Emerald Isle in North Carolina coast. And
not a bad gig, sounds like to me.
It was wonderful. I lived in a little cottage that was about 100 feet from the ocean and about 100 feet on the other side to the sound.
And you left that to come to GrowinGreen ultimately along the way.
I met L.T. Lucas when I was doing a Master Gardener program in Carteret County, and he had told me about, this 2-year program they had at NC State was overloaded at the time with students. They had about 175 new students in the Ag Institute that wanted to come into the turf program in hopes of landing a job as a golf course superintendent, which actually paid pretty big bucks back in those days. I mean, those 6-figure income as a golf course superintendent. And, so it was a very, very good-looking opportunity for people. So they were needing teaching assistants and research assistants, and said, hey, we got an opportunity. We'll pay your stipend, and you come on up here, and you can work on your master's degree in turf. And I was like, man, I'm all about it. Because I started to fall in love with these Bermuda grass, what they were courtyards at a resort that I was superintendent over. And I was like, man, I love this stuff. This Bermuda is just beautiful. And we maintained it pristine, and it was like a carpet to me, and I was used to tall fescue up here. Well, I ended up going to NC State and working on a master's degree, and the title of my thesis is The Establishment of Tall Fescue. So really, I didn't get to do the Bermuda. Circle. I didn't get to do the Bermuda part, although I got to work around a lot of Bermuda and learned a lot more about it. And you can become fanatical about Bermuda. I mean, David Heisig, one of our techs, he's a fanatic about it.
Well, I
loves
sense
the stuff.
The passion you have when we meet every Tuesday on the show, whenever you're here. Sometimes Jonathan has done the show, but the passion that you have for this is palpable. I can feel it when you talk about that Bermuda and how it was a carpet.
Man, I live and breathe turf.
You do. And so this passion, now you're going to be putting these sprigs in.
Sure.
For fields in this area.
That died from winter kill, right, down the middle. And we've got 3 high school stadiums we'll be sprigging. We got to get this done quickly
Now, why the speed? What's the significance of that?
They're alive, and they need to get in the soil as quick as possible. Basically, what we'll be doing is the areas are prepped already. Sprigs get here at 7 a.m. We take the giant boxes of sprigs to the fields, and we simply spread them out as uniform as we possibly can. Then we follow in that with rolling them down and into the soil.
Are you having to prep the soil ahead of time?
It's already prepped.
Already
right?
there.
Yes,
okay.
we've aerated it. And
So it's ready. It's wide open, ready to dock.
And any soil that needed to be added to the areas was done already. Everything's ready to go. The irrigation systems on these fields are all ready to go. Everything's ready. We'll have our compost, which I'm really happy to deal with McGill. This is an awesome company that they supply one of the best, highest quality compost on a bulk scale that you can get. And the service is phenomenal. I met Keith Hooker this morning over at one of our schools, and he's scoping out where the pile's going to go.
Oh, hold that thought if you would, and we'll be right back with. I want to find out more about this compost that you're excited about, and find out if there's a consumer option for this as well through GrowinGreen. It's AM 980 The Eagle. If you have a question for our lawn expert, Tommy Cowett is here. 896-1980. I'm Bill Flynn. We'll be back in just a bit.
Call now. The number is 896-1980. AM 980 The Eagle.
Good morning. We continue with the Love Your Lawn Hour and Growing Green, and our buddy Tommy Cowett is here.
Good morning.
And I got a question from Susan, who's listening in. She says, my passion for Bermuda grass is just about the opposite of Tommy's. She says, does Tommy, have any suggestion of how to keep Bermuda grass out of flower beds? Because for a lot of us, Bermuda is the thing we don't want to see. I know you're planting it today, and I know there's all varieties out there that are very, very desirable for golf courses. You can cut it down to nothing, and it's resilient. It takes the sun and the drought well, all of that. But for a lot of us, we see Bermuda say, oh, no, it's getting into this area. I want it preserved. I don't want grass at all of any kind here.
Right, that's a weedy situation she's dealing with there. That's a plant out of place. And there are chemical controls for that. I recommend there's one called Ornamec that works really good.
Ornamec?
Ornamec.
Spell that.
MEC. ORNAMEC. And you can find that usually at Southern States Farm Store. Make up a spray bottle of that, or depending, if you have a hand can, you can keep that around in the summer. Now, you can apply that over the top and get it on just about any shrub that you're going to come across. It does not hurt tall fescue either. And it's not really a killer, though. It's more of a suppressor. But, hey, when it comes to pulling that Bermuda out, it just comes out like butter.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It really weakens the roots, and then those stolons just come right out of the ground.
Now,
that's one great way to control it in flower beds. Or now, if you keep it away, Roundup. You keep it away from the other plants. But if you've got to go in between plants or a vegetable garden or something like that, Ornamec is a good one that's readily available to any homeowner.
Okay, good advice. Now, I know in some cases I have seen annual battles with Bermuda. People trying to get it out and trying to. Every year they try to get a little smaller patch in their lawn. You know what I'm talking about. And it can take seasons to do this.
We have started our Bermuda eradication program just recently. I did the first treatment at High Point University last week to see this, how this is going, because we'd like to do it a little later on into July and start this 3-application program to eradicate the Bermuda grass from tall fescue. And the chemical is very, it's kind of unusual in that they call it a bleacher. It turns the Bermuda grass plant solid white. We've talked about it, just like your coffee cup. It's like a styrofoam coffee cup. It turns it solid white. And now I'm seeing that effect at High Point. So I'm going to go out, and actually when I leave here, I'm going down to Lexington to do one, a treatment. Bermuda eradication. Takes 3 treatments every 2 weeks. You can go a little longer depending on how that Bermuda's affected. But over 3 applications, you can pretty much get about 95% of your Bermuda grass under control. Then the next year, you're only dealing with 5.
Okay, I got you.
You can't expect it all to be gone in one year.
But you can make a real good leap forward.
Yes, you can. Yes, and there will be 1 step forward, 2 step back scenarios as well in certain areas where you pissed it off. And for some reason, it came back with a vengeance. And
what you got here is some angry Bermuda grass.
Yes, I've seen this. It's a phenomenon. I don't know what it is.
In the race between Bermuda grass and fescue, does Bermuda always win?
By itself? Well, that's a good question. I think in a transitional lawn where you have both, it depends on a lot of different factors. Could depend on sunlight in some, and Bermuda's probably going to win out in those. If you have more shade, the Bermuda's not going to thrive as good.
All right.
It likes it hot. So given it the condition, along the curbs, the Bermuda will probably win, where it gets a lot of heat coming off the street.
Yeah, because as you're talking about this, you're describing the Bermuda problem that I have.
Yeah.
It's not in the shady areas of the lawn. It's in that baked desert center of the lawn where the fescue says, we're out of here, we're on vacation. And then the Bermuda says, here's our time.
Takes advantage of that, and wins the shift.
And what you said, that product Ornamec that you mentioned, and spell that one more time.
ORNAMEC.
ORNAMEC. And it's available, you said readily. I mean, would some of the standard hardware stores, box stores have this?
They do, and you could probably buy it online too. But, that's something to have on hand. Every battler customer who's given up the fight that we've signed up for this Bermuda suppression program or Bermuda eradication, who has been fighting it, with everything, throwing everything. They've bought all these products online.
Blood, sweat, and tears, we're talking.
They've got a designated little shelf in their garage, and I see it. I see the Ornamec there. I see the Triclopyr, and they've purchased these things, and then they lost. And then they called me. They're like, I'm giving up. I can't. Let us take care of it.
It takes a real commitment, though, either way, either professionally
timing,
or for the homeowner.
Coming back quickly, not letting it go and thinking, I did it. It's done. No, it's not. You've got to come back. That's part of the service that GrowinGreen provides, is that we are back on a routine 40 to 45-day schedule with the regular programs, 20 to 28-day with the fungicide program, every 6 months with the insecticide program. We seed you at the right time of year in the fall. Everything is done methodically. Everything is, the mixes that we use are all thought out, pre-planned.
And they're carefully tuned.
Yes.
The mixtures that you're talking about at the right time,
right?
But also the tuning in the mixture really for the specifics of the environment that we face in this part of the country.
Bill,
you could not do the same thing. You could not load the truck the same thing in Washington State,
right,
or Michigan, or something
I
like
wouldn't load the same truck right now that I was loading it with back in March or April or even May. Right now, it's a completely different mix. And, you can really screw some things up this time of year.
I'm sure. And that's
with herbicides.
When we come back, I want to talk about the top thing not to do, or top couple of things that we should absolutely avoid doing right now through the summer run of July and August when it comes to our lawns. What we absolutely should not do, and I'm thinking there may be some things we're tempted to do, but we really shouldn't for the health of the lawn. We'll get to that and much more with our final segment of the Love Your Lawn Hour. Tommy Cowett of GrowinGreen is with us.
Call now. The number is 896-1980. AM 980, The Eagle.
Hi there, it's 9:46. We continue with the final segment of this week's installment of the Love Your Lawn Hour. Tommy Cowett is with us this morning. I don't know that I've met anybody more passionately engaged in the work that you do. I can tell it's it's I can't call it the love of your life, but as far as a profession, you're doing the calling. You are right where God made you to be, I think, in this work. Would you agree?
I have to agree. I do. I love what I do.
And that's apparent. You were starting to tell us before we went away for that brief break some things we absolutely should not do this time of year to our lawns because we risk actually causing more problems than we're going to be solving. What would that top thing be?
You can kill your lawn right now over applying fertilizer and herbicides. You could absolutely kill it
Now,
dead.
why? What's the dynamic that's happening
It's
right
under
now?
stress right now. So the mix that we're using out there it's really more of a de-stress mix to take the stress off the lawn. It's compost tea primarily. There's some iron and a little bit of fertilizer, and the weed control is kept back right now. That's done as a spot treatment where we're going after really some difficult to control weeds. If you're on the program, you're not going to have your typical common, chickweed, henbit, all these little weeds. They're gone. Right now, you've got the mean ones out there, the ones you really rotten eggs of the lawn, like Virginia buttonweed. You've got, maybe some crabgrass came through, goosegrass. Maybe you've got.
You said goosegrass was among the worst. What is it about goose? What
It's
is
so
goosegrass? How do we
prolific.
know if we got it? What does it look like?
Well, I'll tell you what it looks like. It is a flat growing grass, and it looks somewhat like a wagon wheel.
Oh, I do know exactly what you mean.
You'll see it lay flat, and
Yes.
I
hate that.
The leaf blades will look like the spokes of a wagon wheel.
Yeah, I don't think I rip it out if I see it.
I take a knife. I'm always out
hate
there with
that.
a buck knife and cutting it out. Actually,
That takes up a-
Swiss Army knife.
But that'll
no.
take out a big old wad of soil if allowed to fester, right?
Oh yeah,
And then it eclipses all the grass near it.
It really does, and what you'll end up with is probably a bare spot where that was.
Yes.
and
that's-
those can get pretty big,
That's called goose.
and it's called
That gets-
goosegrass.
And here's the thing. I mean, these weeds that we're talking about right now, the really virulent ones, these can pop up, it seems, overnight in your yard.
They can. Oh, my God. It's just a little bit of moisture, and those weed seeds are going to germinate, and they can just take it over. But
So the tendency might be to do an herbicide and do a broad, just lay it across the whole lawn.
Right.
But you're saying this is not the time
no,
to do that.
you want to do your herbicides more on a conservative basis and just target the weeds that are typically in patches. Now, if you're all 100% crabgrass, I would recommend we're going to wait till August and do a cleanup application and get rid of that before we seed, because you really need to seed it. If you're all like 100% crab, if you didn't do any pre-emergence back in the spring, that's kind of the way this goes. Is you really need to prevent in the springtime to avoid most of your weed issues. However, you're going to have these perennial weeds that do not go away. They do not die. They're not annuals. They don't come up from seed. They come up from their roots. But you won't see them until this time of year.
Okay.
And then they emerge, and nutsedge is one of them that can come in. And these are all things that we target with specific backpack applications as we're doing a broad de-stress fertilization and compost tea of the lawn, right now.
I'm equating this to a lot of times in the summer, as human beings, we say, well, what do you want for lunch? I don't want anything heavy. I want something light.
Sure.
I want a bowl of fruit.
Gazpacho, man.
Something cool,
Yeah.
And
I think that's how I'd call our mix right now is gazpacho.
okay. And when the weather is maybe a little denser in the sense of colder temperatures, or maybe you want something to stick to your ribs,
Sure.
at a different time. And
Roast
similarly,
beef sandwich, big time.
the lawn is maybe giving a reflection of that same kind of thing right now. That
Sure.
you're feeding it more of the light fare. Important, you still got to eat, right?
That's right.
But as far as the heavy treatments, now's not the time you want that.
No, it's not. You can actually kill that lawn with one application of a herbicide. That's all it would take. It's under so much stress. It shocks the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, I've done it. I've killed my lawn off 3 times. I think about 10 years ago was the first time I did it. I mixed up a witch's brew. I really didn't know what I was doing. I mean,
you were experimenting on your own lawn?
Yeah, I was doing lots of research. He's always getting free samples of products from various vendors.
So this is a certified agronomist that's doing this and hits failure. I'm inspired by this, quite frankly.
I'm going to throw that in there. I got this water-soluble stuff. It's calcium nitrate, and it's the best thing in the world. I'll put that in there, and I'll put some insecticide in there for whatever.
Makes sense. It made sense.
Yep, some fungicides. I'll put some in there for Pythium and a different one for brown patch, and then I'll have I don't know, everything. And went out and sprayed that lawn and ordered a pizza the next night. The pizza delivery guy comes up, Tommy, what did you do to your lawn?
Oh, no.
And you could smell the death. It was man, it smelled like, a pile of grass clippings there rotting away in the heat. No. I'm like, yeah, man, I killed it. Killed it dead. But, hey, I got it back.
Well, good. And you learned an awful lot from that experience. Failure is a great teacher.
It is. And, it was just putting too many things in there at one time.
And really, the lesson there was you shocked the lawn.
I did.
Is that what you did?
I smoked it. It killed it.
But you got no enjoyment from it.
Some
people smoke grass and it's a different thing, but not you.
It took a couple weeks to get it back. And, I reseeded it and it all came in.
That's good to know. Now, I want to talk. We talked earlier a little bit about this McGill Compost that you're so excited about, and I wanted you to talk to me. You were talking about it as a professional application on these college fields, these high school fields. Is this something? Is there a place for the homeowner for this McGill Compost through GrowinGreen?
Man, if you could get an application of this out on your lawn, just put it out broad spectrum all over the entire lawn. You're going to love that lawn. That lawn is going to respond so well to this. It contains all the microorganisms. This is highly used in agriculture as well. Farm fields where they're, really helping to rejuvenate soils that were burned up for years and years of over applications of synthetic fertilizers. And, losing, building up soluble salts and things like that. These microorganisms in the compost are going to correct problems in your soil. And it just goes so far. It is magical. It's miracle. This is the true miracle grow we're talking about.
Okay. And
here.
is this a season, a window where it works now to do it, or would you wait?
You can put it out any time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not going to stress the lawn by adding the McGill Compost at this point?
Not really. We're using it more for to hold moisture, add nutrients, and keep the sprigs protected after we apply the sprigs, or put the sprigs down, then we'll cover them with a nice coating of the compost.
Last question we'll have time for, and that is, you talked about the agricultural applications and these waves of, okay, we've been plowing this field now for 5 years and it's starting to lose these nutrients. Does that same type of health and then deterioration and then return to health, is that something homeowners face with their lawns over time as well? Do lawns tend to deplete the same things? The grass is trying to suck out the same minerals over and over again?
Well, when we do things like water, we do leach a lot of minerals out of the soil. So, it's what you're doing. Best thing you can do every year is aerate your lawn, a fescue lawn in the fall, just to add air, just to open it up. That's a great thing to do. And to reduce the bulk density of the soil itself. Just by pulling out a core, you're reducing the overall bulk density over the whole entire lawn. You're doing it with a machine. And
that gives there's less pressure on that plant that way.
You're opening up, giving the roots room to grow, and it's that's the best thing you can do to it.
Well, our room is expired in the time sequence, but it's always great to see you. And
great to
look
see
for you
Bill.
Next week. The Growing Green Love Your Lawn Hour and growinggreen.com, the website. Some great advice on there. Ask the expert. Take a look at that.